That's the story. Goodbye jobs, hello mom and dad, say young adults. New story. Many young adults are turning to an old standby to weather the recession, moving back with mom and dad. So although they go out to clubs at night and they have the gelled hair and they look cool, they're really going back to the same room that they were in before they went to college. Instead of looking for a job and making their mother and father's life a little easier, they're busy getting stoned in a nightclub at night, looking for sex. You hear this? So maybe I should ask that question, since it's Family Week on the Savage Nation. Might be more fun than all the news. You can puke from the news. You can get sick from it. You get crazy from it. You could actually get ill if you look at the news, like I have to do every day. So I'll focus on goodbye jobs, hello mom and dad, say young adults. We're talking about kids that went to college. I don't know what they majored in, probably SOS 101 or poli-sci. Whenever you hear SOS or poli-sci, you know that they're going to be barristers. It's a new word for a coffee. And look, when I go into a coffee place and as a young person, you think I sneer at them? I don't. But please, don't ask them their opinion on world affairs. Do me a favor. Don't ask their opinion on anything for that matter. They're still in diapers. They may look like a man, but they're still in diaper. They're still in diapers. How old were you when you had your first kid? 24, 25, 26? I had 2 kids before I was 30. I was working 3 jobs. Okay, I didn't ask for a handout from the government. I didn't go to Aunt Sam and say, give me a check so I could go out at night with gelled hair. I also wanted a new Porsche with a bib on it in 1982. But you know what? I said that's not that important to look like a moron driving around with a Porsche with a bib on it. Nothing against a Porsche nor a bib. My children needed a bib, not a Porsche. I had my priorities right. Now 1 in 7 parents with grown children say they had a boomerang kid move back home in the last year, according to a study released by the Pew Research Center. So if the liberal Pew Research Center says it's 1 in 7 of a grown kid coming back home to be a goon in the bed again, a grown goon who probably doesn't get up in the morning, I guarantee you they stay in bed till 11 waiting for the mother to bring them a cup of coffee. Oh, at a rough night, yeah. Well, but this is typical in Italy anyway. I mean, there's nothing unusual about it when you think about it. Many parents like having a grown-up and a child there. They love it. It's sort of a Munchausen by proxy thing. You know, like you heard about Munchausen by proxy, didn't you? The mother, it's usually the mother, who creates symptoms in a child. They want the child to be sick. They actually make the child sick in order to have a sick child around. That's a Munchausen by proxy. Now, I don't know what name I could give adult children, 18 to 29, who no longer live alone, but they've gone home to mom and dad. I don't know what you'd call it. I wouldn't call it Munchausen by proxy. I'd call it deadbeat by proxy. Maybe the parents turn them into a person who can't make a living. But that's the sign of the times. You got a kid at home like this, you want to talk about it? You want to talk about the fake global warming, and Al Gore should be running and hiding right now. He should actually be running out of America right now. Now that Al Gore has been found out to be the biggest fraud artist in over hundreds of years, he makes the alleged 5 mafia families of New York of yesteryear look like paupers compared to what he's gotten away with, this guy, in my opinion. The man is a complete and total faker. You remember the one of the polar bears on the ice floating? A staged event. There's as much ice on the earth today overall as there was 50 years ago. But your child, your delicate young lotus blossom child, who you raised as a vegan, who doesn't eat anything with a face on it, believes in global warming, believes Obama is the Messiah, believes this, believes that, starves herself to death with vegan diets she doesn't understand, deficient in various vitamins, her brain chemistry is off day and night, doesn't know a thing, but she's convinced she knows about global warming, she knows about war and peace, and she even knows about love and marriage. Even though she has no love and marriage, even though she has no peace in her heart, even though she knows nothing about global politics, she's been brainwashed by the liberal establishment into believing she knows all of these things. This afternoon, before the show hours ago, I went down to an outdoor mall that I go to every day on a bicycle, generally. I like to look at people. So it's a snapshot of middle-class life. I wouldn't say it's the mean streets of America. I don't need to go look there to know what's going on. I go with the mall. I like to look at the children and the mothers and the old guys and whatever. It's a snapshot of a segment of society. And you see various things. So today the turkey is there, the big turkey, and the kids love it. They still love the same thing as they love a Santa Claus. They love a turkey just as I did as a child. In the middle of it all, I'm standing there in the sun on my bike, and I see a group of handicapped children. Pardon me if I'm using a politically inappropriate phrase. The children were severely handicapped. And there was some saintly people taking care of them, and I watched them, and I watched them, and I watched them, and I looked at them. I had many different mixed feelings about the handicapped children. One boy in particular broke my heart. He was a good-looking boy, probably had muscular dystrophy. The man's face, he couldn't control it, and he had the tongue was moving inappropriately, and he had to touch a thing on the wheelchair. And I said to myself, why does God do this to people? Because I know inside that boy's head there's a full person, a person who has the same wants and desires as a healthy boy playing football. And I said, look at this child, and you start to ask questions that for which there's no answer, and then your mind shuts down. And then I looked at the people who were caring for them, and I went up to two of them just quietly, and I said, what organization you're with? Well, they happen to be with the county Department of Education, and these people are saints. This is where they integrate children who are physically handicapped or emotionally disturbed in one way or another into a regular school. And, you know, in my day, they would have been locked up in an institution, as my brother was, where he died after 20 years of misery, or they would have been left at home with the parents being ashamed of them. So you have to say, in a way, thank God that they are integrated into the school system on one hand. On the other hand, let me stick to that for a minute, the compassion side. On that hand, on that side of the equation, I watched them, and I looked at these saintly people who take care of them, and I talked to them in a normal manner. I mean, they're saints. The teachers who take care of children like this are saints. And God knows if there's a heaven, they're going to be at the top of the heap there. I'll tell you, they deserve it. And I listened to one of them say to one of the girls, who was a very pretty girl, looked normal physically, but she was apparently emotionally screwed up in some way because she was afraid to buy coffee, something about money, and don't worry, honey, you don't have to pay this. And I didn't know what to say. I went up to one of the teachers and I said, is there any way I could buy coffee for everybody here? And he said, oh, no, thank you, it's very kind. I didn't know what to do. I wanted to take everything in my pocket out, the few $100s out, and give it to him. I didn't know who to, but they can't accept the money. I don't know how to help the really needy in our society. It seems that the really greedy know how to collect money, and the really needy you can't give it to. The really greedy, yeah, they have the organizations. The really greedy with the gorillas, they have the organization. And you ask them where the money went, they don't answer you. But the really needy, I can't find a way to give them a dime. You understand what I'm saying to you? Anyway, I'll be back.
Savage.
Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire
Terrible.
is...
Turn it off. Terrible version. That's a bad download. Please. At least spend the money and buy a DVD of it, for God's sakes. Forget the commission. Play Bing Crosby for a minute, if you got it ready. If not, I don't really care. What do I care with this stuff? God, and...
Jingle bells, jingle bells.
Turn it off. No, it's no good. You know what, guys? Take it out of my side. Go out tomorrow to a record store when you can buy some DVDs. The downloads, I hear they're free, but they're horrible. What was the electromagnetic pulse? Anywho, here we are. So, boomerang kids who don't have to come home for Christmas. Well, they do. They walk from their bedroom into the dining room. 1 in 7 parents with grown children say they had a boomerang kid move back home in the past year. Boomerang kid. College grad no longer finds a job in an apartment. No one looks to get married. They don't buy a Wendy Wang dress, whatever her name is. No more Manalo shoes. Instead, they're back what they left behind before college. It's sad in a way. I don't know how kids 18 to 29, kids. It sounds like, I once saw a movie, a Fellini movie, back in the 70s, I think, when he still made great movies, of an Italian man living at home. He must have been 50. The mother was 75, 73, 75. And he had a hairnet on before he went to sleep and he'd wake. He was like one of these guys, like a Lothario in his mind. But the guy was 50, still living at home with his mother in Italy. He'd wear a hairnet in the house to keep his hair in place. He was a straight guy. And I got a kick out of it. You know, she was with the nightgown. He was walking around with the bathroom with the pajamas. And it was a way of life. That's why in Italy the birth rate is like minus 1.2, something along those lines. If a guy is going to be out all night, and the sex today is easy for a guy to get, what's he getting married for? The girls have been, they've been taught to just be Jezebels, that's all. They picked it up from you-know-who. And they're acting like, and they wonder why can you get married? What's he going to marry her for? He only wanted sex.